Hello and welcome back to Boxing Social in association with Betfred. My name is Ayman Khan. We are here in Bournemouth with the one and only Matthew Macklin, Bilham Smith Chamberlain fight card this weekend. First of all, Matthew, how are you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be in Bournemouth. What a lovely setting.
Great setting, and we've got a really good fight card coming up at the weekend. Talk to me about Bilham Smith progression here as a fighter, looking to get to the world scene, but has Usyk-AJ2 in his way Saturday night.
Yeah, look, I think it's a really good fight, competitive fight. People picking different guys. Personally, I favour Bilham Smith pretty strongly. I think he's been more consistent. He's been fighting at a higher level for quite a while now. He's got the better wins, and he's only got that one loss to Riakporhe, and it was a good fight that. And Riakporhe's gone on since then to see what he's done. It actually makes that performance even better, and I'm sure that's a fight he would like down the line. The return of Riakporhe. So. I think I go with Bilham Smith. I think he wins. I think his consistency and the fact he's been in the better fights against the better opposition consistently. I think he wins the fight.
In terms of an Usyk-AJ2 perspective, from seeing Bilham Smith in the past, what do you think Usyk has to do to unsettle Chris to maybe come out with the win?
I think he's just got to try and jab's important. I think if he can establish his jab and land regularly, and he's got to vary it. If it's the one pace all the time, Bilham Smith will start reading it, he'll start coming over the top of it, coming inside it. But he's got to mix that jab up. Lots of feints, jab the body, jab the head, some slower jabs, some fast jabs, some hard jabs. Can't become predictable, because I think if he does, Bilham will read him and he'll start countering over the top of it. He's pretty solid, Bilham Smith. I mean, Riakporhe's a massive puncher. He caught him, he took it, he got up. He's a durable guy. So, if Chamberlain's going to win, he's got to be really slick, and he's got to sustain it for the 12 rounds. He's got to outbox him, be slick, and he's got to give him a different look. He can't afford to become predictable.
The world scene seems pretty much set for the winner, maybe specifically more Bilham Smith being highly ranked with the WBC rankings. But there's also Riakporhe, who's ready-made, he's on Boxer, has been having a lot of success getting the spotlight on him. Would you like to see the winner potentially being Bilham Smith, ready-made because of the fight before and a rematch potentially? You'd like them to see them face Riakporhe? Yeah,
massively, but I think that Riakporhe wants a shot at the world title, and where he is and ranked and everything, and the fact he's beaten Bilham Smith and he's beaten Tommy McCarthy and he's beaten Massey, and he's had some big wins, and he's moving nicely. Juma, that was a good win. Turkey the other week, a few weeks back, really again looked good. So, he's closing in on a world title shot. He wants that world title shot. That said, Bilham Smith will want the rematch. So it depends on what fights can get made, I guess. And does he want to entertain the rematch before he gets a shot at a world title, or does he think, well, I want my shot first, and if I win it, I'll defend against Bilham Smith? That's probably what I would imagine Riakporhe's thought process is.
Matthew, let's take a look at the undercard. Big debut in the form of Ben Whittaker. A lot of talk about him, a lot of furore, and wanting to see him out. He didn't get the original debut, got cancelled, but that will just eagerly ramp it all up for his debut. But what do you look at him in terms of him as a talent? How far can he go?
Well, look, you'd have to say that he can go all the way. You would think. Look, it's his early days. He hasn't even had his pro debut, and just because you were, super talented and you achieve so much as an amateur, it's not a guarantee you're going to translate that over to the pros. That said, I do think that he probably will, but he's just got to stay focused. He's got to live the life, and he's got to make certain adjustments. He was a really good mover, but now he's got guys coming to try and knock him out. He can't just outpoint them over 3 rounds. These are 12-round fights. People, some tough, solid, stubborn guys are happy to take one to give one. They're happy to take 3 or 4 to give one, as you go meet certain opponents. So, but look, he's a talent. Everyone wanted to sign him, and it's his pro debut, and I'm excited to see him up close, live, and it should be the start of what could be an amazing journey.
No doubt when he was picking his pro coach to transition with, he'll have gone to a number of gyms and spoken to and learnt the styles and seen what's best for him. Sugar Hill, though, very intriguing choice in prospect. What do you think and make of that link-up?
Well, look, he's a guy who's current, isn't he? He trains the heavyweight champion of the world in Tyson Fury. So he's, those 2 wins against Wilder were the last 2. I thought he won the third one, but the 2 he had with Sugar Hill, those were big wins, massive performances by Fury. So he's proven himself, and in the corner, you know, he knew when to be passionate talking, he knew when to be cool. He was good in the corner, and sometimes you get trainers that are good in the gym, not great in the corner, not particularly great in the gym, but amazing in the corner. You know, Sugar Hill to me looks like he has both. And I'm sure it was a decision he didn't take lightly, Benn-Eubank. I'm sure he'd done the rounds and probably spoke to a lot of people. But ultimately, it's a decision only he can make. He has to go and spend time with those guys. And who did he get that synergy with? Who did he vibe with? And you know, he's put his faith in Sugar Hill.
From Bill and Smith to Liam Smith signing with Boxer, who's in with Hassan Marquinhos. Very interesting, a choice of opponent. We saw Marquinhos beat in an upset Sam Egerton a number of years back. Talk to me about that fight and Liam Smith joining Boxer.
Good signing for Boxer. Liam Smith, a world-class fighter that will look, I'm sure, will be looking for another shot at a world title, wants to become world champion again. Also, he's a potential opponent for Chris Eubank. That's, you know, he would take that fight, I'm sure. The opponent sprung the upset against Sam Egerton a good few years ago now, but it was a fight I think that Sam just took his eye off the ball. You know, he was meant to fight the Povetkin-AJ card. A couple of weeks later, he was on a real run at the time. I think he just got caught, and other than that, I think he would have won. So it was it's an opponent that we know, that the viewers on Sky will know because they'll remember him from then, but I would be shocked if he upset Liam Smith.
You mentioned a potential opponent for Chris Eubank Jr. There's a lot of talk, a lot of whispers about a potential Eubank Jr. Benn fight. Your thoughts on that one, Matthew? A lot of talk about it.
Yeah, look, it's a massive money spinner, isn't it? Because of the history of the names and the dads and everything. Look, it's one of those, isn't it? I think, you know, money talks at the end of the day, but really, like if you're kind of Ben, he's probably earning a lot of money anyway. He's progressing nicely. He's improving. He's developing. His star quality and profile's growing all the time. He's going to make a lot of money anyway. And if he's to go up, I don't know, £10, £8, £9, £10, and then on the rehydration on the night, Eubank, like, you know, if he gets, you know, if he's too small and he gets knocked out into bad beating, like, how's that affect him then in terms of confidence? How does it affect the perception of other people to him? You know, right now he's undefeated and he's literally, you know, probably or one of the most promotable guys in the UK. So why risk that really? He's going to earn a lot of money anyway. That's what I think.
Something that's not whispers, it's been announced now. We've been waiting on for the announcement of that being Usyk-AJ2 landing on Sky Sports box office. An increased price point though for it. Just your thoughts on firstly the fight landing on Sky and then the increased price point too.
I'm delighted it's on Sky, obviously, because I'll be out there commentating on it. Mad few weeks. We thought it was on Sky, then it was definitely, when that AJ announced he was signing with the Zone, we thought it definitely wasn't. All of a sudden it's back on. So yeah, a little bit of a up and down few weeks, but no, I'm delighted it's on Sky, absolutely buzzing.
What have you made of Anthony Joshua's comments talking about like wanting respect and that he came to a division that wasn't really talked about too much. He came in, galvanised it. Now he's not getting that respect as a top level fighter. What do you make of those comments?
No, you're as good as your last fight, aren't you? And it's that simple. You know, if he beats Usyk in the rematch, he'll be back bigger than ever, and he'll be back on top again. So that's just the sport and the business we're in. It's a great sport. But it can be horrible at times, and it can be ruthless, and you're as good as your last fight, and that's the reality of it.
I've got your thoughts on it before, but I just want to elaborate on it maybe a little bit more. Robert Garcia, getting that timing. We've now found out that he's been with Robert Garcia a lot longer than maybe we thought. Talk to me about how Anthony Joshua, in your eyes, has to approach that fight to get the win over Usyk.
Look, he's got to get on top of him. You know, he can't stand back and outbox Usyk. He just can't. You know, and the longer he stands off him, the more room he gives him, the more time he gives him, the more Usyk settles, gets his rhythm, gets his confidence, starts pinging him, and the more his confidence deteriorates then. You know, and don't forget, he nearly got another 30 seconds in that fight. He would have probably got stopped. You know, and you know, some people are saying, I wouldn't have said this, but some people think he was gun shy in the Ruiz rematch. I thought he did what he had to do, but I get what they're saying. And obviously Pulev, I thought it was a good performance. But, you know, again, it's long, it's distance, it's jabs, it's right hands. You know, he'll have to be completely different to beat Usyk, I believe. I think if he tries to stand at that mid-distance or long range, he'll just get picked apart again. And I think Usyk will be better this time because he's growing into the heavyweight division all the time. I think it's a tough fight for AJ, really do. I don't think they've done this based on boxing. This isn't a boxing. This isn't his manager. He hasn't got a boxing manager. He's got a commercial manager. A boxing manager really would say, no, we don't want this fight next. We want a couple of fights. You know, if he's going with a new trainer, a boxing manager would say, you know what, we're going with a new trainer. We've got to work on a few things. We need a couple of wins where you're comfortable, working on this new style, and then we'll go back in there. This is a decision that was made because of commercial terms. It was a commercial decision. This wasn't based on boxing. So, you know, that it was made for the wrong reasons, in my opinion.
Matthew, you're a former pro fighter, a former accomplished pro fighter at that. The way I'm transitioning this question is Jake Paul is now fighting a current fighter, or what's perceived as a fighter now. Would you, if he gets the win next weekend, give him that credit as a fighter if he gets that win over Hassan Rahman Jr.?
Yeah, give him credit that he's beaten Hassan Rahman Jr., but he's the talk of him thinking he's the saviour of boxing or he's going to be a world champion. I don't give that too much. I don't take that very serious, you know, but he's picked his opponents carefully. Fair play to him. He's fighting a real boxer in Hassan Rahman Jr., so we'll see.
Final rumour I want to get your thoughts on as well is a potential Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor 2 rematch. Your thoughts on that one?
I mean, I think the first time they conned a lot of people in the sense that McGregor had this hype over him at the time. Remember, he said he'd do Aldo in 10 seconds, and he did. So he had this mystique around him at the time. I don't think that's there anymore. Obviously, Mayweather's older. I just don't think... we were at that fight. We did that fight, and you know, because they made such a killing on the tickets for the Pacquiao Mayweather, they kept them back. They overpriced them, and in the end, there was 5 or 6,000 empty seats in the arena, and I just don't think people are going to buy into it again.
Matthew, pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for speaking to Box Social. Much appreciated.